Side orders coming out for Splatoon 3's DLC in about 6 months. Well, actually, maybe like 4 or 5 now. I don't know. And I figured since a lot of other people have done it, I might as well give my thoughts on the DLC so far. As you know, for those of you who do play Splatoon 3, it has 2 waves of DLC. The first one has come out already, where you get to explore the original Link complex, which I am trying to do right now, but keeps freaking giving me this weird error code like, oh, you can't do it, blah 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 blah. Anyways, guys, sorry, my dogs are being upset with each other right now. Anyways, so my thoughts on DLC on the. So I'm gonna split this into 2 sections. My thoughts on DLC and my theories for it on how the story is gonna play out. First off, the thoughts. So off the bat, we see a bunch of white, bleached coral. Deca Tower is whited out as well in the trailer, and I'm assuming this is all in Inkopolis Square. Sorry, headphone users. What was I saying? Right. I'm assuming all of this is taking place in Inkopolis Square. That's where the second game took place of the main series. So at the beginning of the game, or the DLC, sorry, it talks about how you play as this character called Agent 8. And for those of you who haven't played Splatoon 2 or its DLC, not Splatoon 2, Agent 8 is the main, not an antagonist, protagonist in the DLC. He or she is the main protagonist of Octo expansion in Splatoon 2. And we see like all these weird bony skeleton fish with like black ink around them. We can assume that those are like some of the enemies. We see little, medium, and big. So I'm assuming the bigger they are, the tankier they are. The smaller they are, the faster they are, but they do less damage. So I'm assuming they're like salmonids from Salmon Run. We got Small Fried Chum and Quahog. Ah! I hate when that happens! That's happened like 3 times now. And then you have your boss salmonids, but we didn't really see any bosses revealed, so I really can't go over them. I really hope they're not like they did in Octo expansion. Don't get me wrong, it was cool to fight all those bosses on a higher level, but it felt pretty boring, like, it felt exhausting to have to repeat it from the main story. And, you fight Octo Samurai, you fight all these bosses, but with different weapons and specials, and it felt exhausting and long and annoying. It didn't really feel all that fresh. The only thing that was really cool was seeing Octo Stomp again, who, if you don't know, has been now 4 bosses, I guess, if you count Fry and Octo Stomp's dead corpse. If you play the game, you'll know what I mean. And that felt really cool because he's been iconic since Splatoon 1. He was the first boss you ever fought. He continues to show up throughout the series. And it felt cool to fight him again, except more tankier. And with bubblers, and a faster Splatling Octarian. And more faces. Like, oh my god, it was cool. That's the only good boss. Everyone else was just so annoying. All it was that their attacks were faster. Everything else was the same. Their bulk, their damage output. It's just their attacks were faster. And that's why I don't really like the bosses of Splatoon 2's Octo expansion. So I'm hoping that if there are bosses, like, they better not be like the ones from Splatoon 3, which I doubt, but they've done it before. Like, I sincerely think that they might do it again. Anyways, back to the enemies. So we have these, bony skeleton fish things. We'll call them bonefish just for short because I really don't like having to repeat such long exaggerations when they can be, like, 2 small words. So these bonefish, as we're calling them, they don't seem to have a lot of health. Especially with Agent 8's new dualies that we see. Dualies are a special weapon class. And hey! Sorry. And it's cool to see those new weapons, because we got the Octo Shot in Splatoon 2's Octo expansion, which I adore. And it was so fun to actually use it. And then they gave us a secret boss after the whole campaign was done and we completed every single level. And then they gave us this one final challenge, and I was so happy about it. It put me in struggle, and I like that challenge. So I really want that to happen again. So we see, anyways, moving on from the enemies. There's a score system by the looks of it. Because we also see a difficulty, easy, medium, hard, and each one gives you a different chip. I assume higher difficulty, better rewards. And then you see this palette after you select the level. You see Agent 8 put in that color chip, and it shows like this giant array of color chips. I assume like blue is ink speed, or sorry, damage, red is swim speed, green is special power. So I'm assuming it's everything that matches like color to say special, speed, damage output, resistance, stuff like that. And so I want this color palette to, like, you know, it's basically saying you should balance your abilities however you match your playstyle as. Sorry, my dog's going insane right now. Get out of here. Anyways, where was I? Right, the scoring system and difficulty. I assume the higher score you get and the higher damage, or the more damage you do, the higher the score. The higher the score, the better the rewards. The higher difficulty, the more of a multiplier you have. That's what I'm thinking for the scoring system. I can't, don't quote me on that, but it is just a theory. We also see a weird, you know, animation at some point where Agent 3 gets digitalized, and then she just comes back to life. But if you look carefully, you can see like her little octo soul going back into the digitalization thing with her weapons. She like reaches out and grabs them. It's cool. I love it. It's awesome. And I'm hyped for that. And it looks like it's a really cool respawn animation. Like, who wouldn't want that? I'm really happy that this is coming out. It sucks that it's in spring, but I'm excited for it. Anyways, we also see more towards the end of the trailer, we see this black gooey ink, sort of. It's not ink because it wasn't falling and dripping, but it didn't. But it kind of looked like Jello, if you know what I mean. And inside that jello-y, inky stuff, you see 3 red eyes. One there, one there, one there. And they're all like big and close to each other. So maybe, just maybe, don't quote me on this. It has to do with all the enemies and all the enemy ink and the black and white stuff and the white like bleached coral and Deca Tower. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. I don't know. But it is a possibility. My theories. Marina's the villain. Marina from Octo expansion and Splatoon 2. She was an idol in Splatoon 2. There was one Splatfest called the Final Fest. They did 2 after. I don't know why they called it the Final Fest. If they did 2 after, I don't know. Don't question me about it because I don't know everything. Anyways, this Final Fest was chaos and order. Pearl was chaos, Marina was order. Pearl's the other person doing the Splatcast and stuff like that. Anyways, chaos won. So maybe this is an alternate dimension where order won and Marina kind of went crazy and tried to keep things in order. So she took the color out of everything. And this is some alternate dimension that Agent 8 got sucked into with Pearl. I really hope that's what it is, or maybe it's an alternate timeline. Whatever it is, I'm hyped for it. Oh, another thing to add. This is my thoughts. Oct. That's spelled A-C-H-T, if I remember correctly. A-C-H-T, yeah. Oct is A in German. I don't ask why I know that, I just do. But she's green. She looks sanitized, like from the Splatoon 2 DLC. She looks sanitized, as if something happened to her, as if Commander Tartar got to her. Hang on. Back to what I was saying. Oct is sanitized. Clearly. Hang on, that was a bad camera grab. That lighting is god-awful. Whatever, it's fine. Oct is sanitized. But she doesn't act like she is. So maybe this alternate universe that 8 was sucked into also had Oct in it before. I know it says she got sucked in just like 8 did, but it doesn't seem like that's what happened. Maybe she was sanitized by Marina before Tartar could get to her. Maybe Tartar didn't even exist in this timeline. Maybe... stupid cat. Hang on, I'm gonna find a better place for this. Oh, yo, I can add lighting? That's awesome. Sorry, that's gonna be distracting me the entire time. Perhaps Oct is sanitized by not Agent 8, Jesus, by Marina. With that machine that we see at the end of the trailer. So we might have to fight Oct before we get to Marina and her machine. Marina's the main antagonist. That's my entire, antagonist theory. Marina is the main, problem causer. I absolutely am excited for this, but again,
I really want Marina to be this crazy antagonist person because it's gonna be really cool to see her fighting like that. Have us have one final showdown to prove that Chaos was destined to win all of this. Because I was gonna vote Chaos. I never got Splatoon 2 after all the Splatfests, but I would have picked Chaos. By the way, I live for it. Um, Maybe it's all related, like they did in Splatoon 2 story mode, not the DLC, the main story, where you fought Octavio, sorry, and Callie was brainwashed. That was all related to the final Splatfest of Callie versus Marie in Splatoon 1. Those two events were completely related. And that's why I'm thinking these two events might be related. The alternate universe of Chaos and Order, where Order won, and Marina losing it because Chaos won. So maybe she made this dimension of where Order won. But we don't see any other Inklings or Octolings in this universe, except for you and Oct. Pearl is for some reason a little drone, or maybe she's in the actual in the other universe where Chaos won, and she's like, I don't know. But we also see these Marina cans, like they're literally like tuna cans with Marina's face on them. So maybe those cans are a way of sabotaging you to make you think, oh, these are good. But no, they reduce your score, or they do damage, or they get rid of your multiplier for 5 minutes. Whatever it may be, I'm excited. And I really want Marina to be the main antagonist. Let's talk about Oct. She's helping you fight because while she is sanitized, she's still conscious and knowing and aware of all this. Can you imagine that? Oct is aware that she's being brainwashed and she's trying to help you in any way you can, or any way she can. And she's trying to help you, like, get a message through you, like, help me. I'm being brainwashed. I'm being forced to do all this against my will, and I want you to set me free. That's why she's helping Agent 8. Not just because, she's just doing this out of the kindness of her heart. No, she's being forced to attack other people. And she's trying to have you say, help me, But without actually saying it, because she might be being trapped and bugged by Marina. She might have like a little bug somewhere. Like it could be under her hat, like stitched into her clothes, injected into her. I don't know. However it was, we need to know. I really want to play this and have that be true. And then eventually the sanitization takes over, and then right before she's fully corrupted, her final request before she's completely taken over is fight me to the death and clear me of the sanitization before I do something I regret. Have it be a full one-on-one. No Pearl, no nothing. Just me and you. That would be insane. That's something where I just pop off and be like, I would cry if that happened, because Oct is so cool. I'm almost crying just thinking about it. I personally adore everything about Splatoon. All of its cute little features, everything about it. And I just, I really want to fight Oct, have her own little story on how she got here, how she was sucked into this dimension, or how she was in this dimension in general, where Order won and she was sanitized by Marina. Maybe that's how all the bonefish were created. There's they're inklings and octolings that were forced into being these bonefish and eventually fight. I know where you're thinking. Oh, but this and that. No. Hear me out. Marina might have found some fish fossils somewhere. And she might have thought that if she got enough inklings and octolings to make these bonefish spawners and these bonefish in general, she could finally, you know, fight for everything. Because in Splatoon 2's Octo expansion, you fought for Ingopolis Square in the final boss fight. What if they did that too? They're probably gonna do that. You know, Marina's got that giant machine with Tartar's remains and the statue's remains from Splatoon 2. Where you, Pearl, Marina, Cuttlefish, all work together. Yes, I'm making this statement. Cuttlefish was the best helper ever by sitting there and just doing nothing and cheering us on. I loved it. It was so funny, and that was probably my favorite part of the story, just fighting for all of Ingopolis. Anyways, what if it's like that again, where Marina's trying to make sure order is always maintained, and then you have to prove that it can't always be order. There has to be good and bad in the world to balance each other out. Because if you go too far one direction, all of it falls apart. So you want to make sure that you balance it out with the other to make sure that, you know, everything doesn't go tipped out of balance. So you fight Marina one last time. It's a mix of the two boss fight structures from Splatoon 2. You know, you start out by fighting for all of Ingopolis under a strict time limit. And then, finally, the machine is destroyed, Marina comes down and fights you once and for all. You fight her, you take care of her, you make sure that you balance everything out again. You restore Ingopolis Square to its former glory. You revive Oct and all of the Inklings and Octolings. The end. That's how I want it to go. And then you could go back into Deca Tower to replay the entire story mode. There could be multiple save files like they do in like Mario games, where you have one save file, two save files, three save files, five save files, 10, 20, 30, 50. I know there's not actually 10 or more. But what I'm trying to get at is you could have multiple save files to replay the story mode. I know they probably won't do that, but that's what I want. And that's what I really hope is going to happen. I could go on for hours on end, but I don't want this to be like a 50 million year long video. So yeah, that's most of my theories. My final one is that at one point Pearl will meet up with you in person and fight you on behalf of Marina. You know, Marina finds Pearl herself, sanitizes her. You lose the drone for about 5 levels, and then you fight Pearl. And like Oct, before she gets corrupted, she asks you to fight her to make sure that this sanitization does not actually hurt her. And to make sure that your Octoling does not get hurt. I really think that'd be such a cool story to play out. It's probably not going to happen. You know, they ruined Splatoon 3 story mode by having Octavio again as one of the antagonists, which was... They gotta stop with that. I love that they turned him good, fighting with you to destroy Mr. Grizz once and for all. I love that they did that, don't get me wrong, but we gotta stop fighting the Octobot. Nintendo, if you are watching, do not have us fight the Octobot anymore. I'm sick of it, a lot of other people are sick of it, and you make it worse every time you have us fight it. So, that's my note to you, Nintendo. Anyways. Oh, I'm cold. I absolutely want to fight Pearl. I want to fight Marina. I want to fight Oct. You know, they're all probably going to be essential to the plot in one way or another. And like they did with Agent 3. Right, Agent 3. They had them come down through the roof of something, take out the telephone before you and Cuttlefish were, you know, turned into smoothies. And then knocked unconscious. I would think that Marina would do something like that. You know? They had you and Marina meet up. You think, oh, she's a nice person. She's actually not evil. But then she tricks you into going somewhere that is going to kill you, and then Pearl comes along and knocks her the heck out. First off, that'd be hilarious. Second off, that'd be so cool. It'd be hilarious and cool to see Marina get knocked out by Pearl. Jeez. So like they did with Octo expansion, Pearl comes down, knocks the ever-living crap out of Pearl, knocks her out, knocks herself out, and then you go into the sequence again. I like the sequence of, like, you have to go through specific parts before you actually get to the final boss fight, and then before you get to the final boss fight, you have to fight Pearl or Agent 3 once more. Somewhere along the story, we need to fight Oct. That would make it a perfect 10 out of 10. Say, like, 3/4 of the way through, you get to this giant arena. Oct reveals she's been sanitized, and right before she wants you to fight her to knock out the sanitization. I know I said this already, I don't care. We need to fight her. We need to get rid of her sanitization, because seeing her all weird and green and blue and green on her head is just so weird. And that hat she's wearing with her headphones, that's covering up like the little sanitization thing on her head. You know, she's wearing that to cover up the goo that sanitizes her. And that black goo is slowly taking over, and then we get to the boss fight. We go in, and throughout the story, I want to see her turning black. Because, like, black and white, not just jet black, to blend in with the arena. If the arena was jet black with the background, that would make it so difficult, and I would appreciate if Nintendo did that. I would just jump for joy. So, anyways, as I was saying, you fight Oct, and right before you do, throughout the story, you start seeing her turn darker, with like she starts turning black and white, and so eventually, like halfway through, before you fight her, Pearl starts noticing is like she talks to you, and she says, "Hey, are you seeing something going on with Oct?" And then you can say yes or no, depending on like if you don't really care for details, which I do. So I'm gonna say yes to that scenario if it pops up. And then Oct's gonna overhear this and is gonna be like, like she's trying to hide something, but she isn't trying to hide it because she knows that Marina is tracking her and is able to hear everything. In fact, another theory, Marina made Pearl that drone, but it's got the little like bug in it to where you can hear everything. And then Marina's gonna disable the drone. That's when you lose the drone for 5 levels, and then you fight Pearl. Because Marina sanitized her. You take down Pearl, and then once you get to the boss fight, you fight Pearl one last time to stop sanitization from taking over once again. And for the last time. That's my theory, and that's my thoughts. Thank you for watching. I know this was a long video, but if you watched up to this point, please consider liking the video. Please consider subscribing. I really would appreciate it because I have so many thoughts I want to expand on for Splatoon 3's DLC as more trailers get released and as I play it, because I'm going to record my playthrough of it. I want you guys to watch it because I want to experience it for the first time, and I want to experience it with you guys. So when Splatoon 3 comes out with its DLC, I will buy it as... Actually, no. Once it comes out, I will have it because I already have the DLC bought. Once it comes out on release day, the first thing I'm doing is if it's a school day, I'm coming home, setting up my recording, and I'm gonna start the video. Because, jeez, I'm so excited to play it. Thank you for watching. I really hope you enjoyed, and I will see y'all in the next one. Take care.